Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh. Bahashima Mashiach wa Malak Yahushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Yahushai. Hearty shalom to you mighty men that go out there and do the work of the Most High, presenting your body as a living sacrifice, and doing all things for the elect's sake, pushing this truth and magnifying the ministry. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying. They're fasting. They're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. And shalom to the Akwath out there holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, being submissive and diligent, and moving in the spirit of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua in the last days. The topic of this live stream is, are you on fire or are you not? Right? That's a plain question. You don't have to sit there and take 35 minutes to answer it. You don't have to do some type of mathematical equation. You don't have to sit there and get counsel from 35 men to 70 men to try to figure out if you're on fire and you're not. Every brother should tap within a spirit in these last days, look within themselves and ask that question to themselves: am I on fire or am I not? There's no in between. Either you in this thing or you out this thing, right? You got Pentecost coming up. You got World War III on the horizon. You got Gaza. You got Israel. You got India. You got famines. You got pestilence on the earth. You got blood moons in the sky. You got UFO sightings coming in at a higher rate than ever before. So you have to sit there and make sure that you are doing what's required of you in order to make it out of this thing, man. Right? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 8. It reads, after that, so like it, and last of all, this is the Apostle Paul, right? And I'm going to kick it off with this, 1 Corinthians 15 and 8. And last of all, he was seen of me also as one born out of due time, right? Because the last person that, or the last chief man that Yahushua appeared to was the Apostle Paul, right? And this account, Paul is giving you a detailed record and a chronology of who Yahushua appeared to in his resurrection, right? He started with the apostles, then he went to other men at the resurrection, and the ascension, and then he appeared to Paul on his way to Damascus as one born out of due time, right? Because Paul came in this thing late, right, compared to the other apostles. It says, for I am the least of the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. And this applies to us, right? Paul's lifestyle applies to the men of the Lord that do the work now, right? We're not meet to be called the servants of the Lord. Technically, we are apostles, because the word apostle, when you look it up in the Greek, it just means to be sent out. We're not saying that we are the apostles in the ancient world, or those same men, but men are apostles, men are disciples, men are servants, men are prophets, men are kings, men are priests, right? You can't take that office away from these men. But we move in the spirit of Paul. Paul even said, for I am the least of all the apostles. Right? And we're the least of all of the men of the Lord, man. You should look at yourself as not being more exalted than the next man. You, simply because you know a little bit more, you're over this man, or you might have been in this truth longer than you can kind of son a brother that just came into this thing. No, that's off as hell, right? We have to have that humble spirit in these days, man. So I'm the least of all the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle. Yeah, we're not worthy to be in this truth. Right? Why would you not be on fire? You was in the world smoking blunts, rolling backwoods, damn, being a nigga, chasing cheeks, in the club, hating your brother, jumping your brother, whoring your women out, and you think that's a life that you was on fire to do that. You had the latest Jordans, you had the latest shoes, you had designer belts, you understand? You was doing your thing in the world in wickedness. But brothers don't want to take that same spirit and be like the Apostle Paul and turn it to righteousness. Right? Paul felt so often bad for the things he did when he persecuted the church. That was his catalyst that made him go 10 times harder than the next man. And we have to look at the lifestyle that we lived in time past and use that as fuel. Don't use preeminence as fuel to be the top man. Right? You'll blow your damn tank out doing that. Right? Don't try to use, you want to be the next top man in Israel. Right, which goes into preeminence. Right, don't try to just have a mass of people following you. You understand? You want your fuel for your tank to be on fire? Because you need fuel to be on fire, right? Your fuel should be the wicked lifestyle you lived in the world, you know? That's why even Paul said in Ephesians 5, he said, it is a shame to speak of them of those things which are done in secret, paraphrasing. Right? Ephesians 5 and 12. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. Right? So the Lord said it's a shame to even speak of the things that we have done in the world and people do in the world. Even in secret, it's a shame to speak of those things. It's like you kind of got your head down. When you reminisce on your lifestyle that you lived prior to coming to the truth, it's nothing to be proud of. You might have dealt with a lot of women. You might have been famous. You might have been a rapper. You might have been on the come up, might have been some type of entrepreneur or some type of up and coming celebrity, or you might have been a woman who had like this designer, clothing trend she had going on, and she wasn't keeping the Sabbath day, and you might have had something going for you, and it really was death. So why be proud about that? Brothers say come into this thing, well, I used to do this and why I used to do this. No, you're supposed to be ashamed of this thing, man. The only time you hear about Paul mentioning what he did, persecuting the church, he's not boasting about it. Why would Paul say, hey, man, when I was in the world, I used to kill the apostles, what I'm saying? I was persecuted. That's how Jake is, man. It's a shame to speak of the things that are done in secret. Right? Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Right? It reads, 1 Corinthians 15 and 9, for I am the least of the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. But by the grace of the Most High, I am what I am. And pretty much like I deal with it, man. The Most High gave me mercy. Hey, it is what it is. And his grace, which was bestowed upon me, was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of the Most High, which was with me. Therefore, rather, it were I or they, so we preach, and so ye believed. You see that? So the Apostle Paul said, hey, look, it is what it is. But I'm going to take this opportunity that the Most High has given me, the grace that the Lord gave me. The Lord could have killed us, man. You deserve to be dead right now. You literally should be in the earth right now, or in the spirit world dead, man. Because the manifold sin, you didn't keep the Sabbath day in the world. Stop it. You ate all types of unclean food. You broke thousands of commandments, and you know that better than me. Right? So that, again, is why the grace is so important, because now we have mercy. We have an opportunity to labor abundantly now. We look at our life and say, okay, it is what it is. Now I want to be on fire in this thing, man. It's like a brother, he might have been on a basketball team or something. He might have got cut from the team due to him showing up late. He might have passed a drug test. He might have failed a physical. He might have been using some type of performance enhancing drugs, and he got cut. When he come back, and the coach may pull him up and say, hey, look, we're going to give you a spot back on the team. How is that guy going to come back? That guy going to come back on fire, man. Because he know that he really don't deserve to be on that team. He knows that. And the coaches know that. And the players know that. So that's going to be his fuel to be to move much more diligent in his craft. And that's not just sports. That's any craft. That's any corporation. That's any damn trade you do. That's life. It is what it is, man. That happens in marriages and relationships. A woman may give you another chance. It may be a woman you feeling, and you say, hey, look, you don't want to, slip up again. So now you're going to kind of make sure that you're on fire in terms of your duties as a man in marriage. That happens all the time. Everybody knows it. But brothers don't apply it to this truth. Right? That's why he said, let me read that again. 1 Corinthians 15 and 10. But by the grace of the Most High, I am what I am. And his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain, but I labored more abundantly than they all. So Paul labored more abundantly than the Apostle Matthew. Paul labored more abundantly than St. Luke. Paul labored more abundantly than John, the Revelator. People say, oh, John the Revelator. Hey, Paul labored more abundantly than John. Paul went out more. Paul traveled more. Paul taught more people. Paul did more miracles. Paul was on fire. He labored more than the Apostle Peter. Now, Yahushua gave Peter the gates of the kingdom. All right, let me get that real quick. All right, let's go to Matthew 18. right? Matthew 18:18. Verily I say unto you, this Yahweh talking to the apostles, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on the earth shall be loosed in heaven. And that's a fact. And that's showing you the authority that the Lord gave the apostles. That whatever they say, it goes in the spirit. Pretty much. You know? If they want to take the spirit from somebody, it's going to happen. If they say, look, you and your household are saved, that's going to happen. Whatever they bound and tie up according to judgment in the spirit world, it is what it is. That's the authority that these men had. Paul labored more abundantly than these men. Right? You have to labor more abundantly, man. Not saying it's a competition, but you got to labor more abundantly. You got to read more. You got to spend more hours up late, man. You may have to get up an hour and a half early, an hour early for work to read because you know that you're not going to have time to do so. On your lunch break, you should be studying precepts. You should be getting it in. Get off of damn Instagram on your lunch break all day, man. Sitting there scrolling on everybody's story. Do a breakdown. You understand? Read a chapter, whatever you can get in. Hey, duck off. You might have a spot at my old so-called job or whatever. And I used to have a spot where I could kind of duck off and pray, you know, on break. You have to labor more abundantly. You have to sit there and find a way to labor more abundantly, man. Let's go to, and it says, yet not I, but the grace of the Most High, which was with me. Right? Let's go to the same chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 57. Right? 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 57. But thanks be to the Most High, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahweh HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So we have to be what? Steadfast, meaning persistent. If somebody's steadfast, they're consistent and they're persistent and they're diligent in what they do. Right? They don't waver. Unmovable. Don't be the brother that's moved to and fro. Your woman moving you all over the place. You letting your kids move you, right? You letting your so-called job regulate your life all day, 24/7, right? You letting the flesh move you to commit all types of lewdness and concupiscence and folly and vanity. Be unmovable in this thing, but hold it down, you know? That's what the Lord is saying, hold it down. And it says what? Always abounding in the work of the Lord. Meaning there is no ceiling in this thing. Right? In corporations, you have a ceiling. They may say, look, you know, you have this so-called job. Why do you want it? You may say, look, I'm looking for growth in a company and I'm looking for an opportunity to excel. Right? And they may give you different offices in that corporation. Right? You may come in as an entry-level employee. They may say, look, we have opportunities for you to be a supervisor, then a training manager, and then Salakia, a national service manager, then you may be a CEO, you know, and then they may say, look, that's your ceiling. There's nothing above the CEO. You could be a private owner, you know, there's nothing above those two things, right? That's the ceiling. And once you're a private owner or of a company, you done bought the company out or you're the CEO, I mean, there's nowhere to go but down, right? You have to maintain your level of diligence to keep your job as a CEO because, you know, if you know how so-called corporations go, they can replace you. You know, the people that invest in that company, they can get you out of there, right? So you have to maintain your level of diligence. Otherwise, they'll replace you. CEOs get replaced all the time, you know? Now, the point of that is, in the world, there's a pinnacle, there's a ceiling. As far as you can go as the CEO, for lack of better terms. Now, all you can go is down. And it's truth, there is no limit. There's no, well, you know, I've been in this thing and for 5 years, I can't learn anymore. Right? The Most High don't put a cap and a seal off of your growth in His truth. Right? Now, the Lord can do that. He can kind of hold you back for a minute through the Spirit, you know, and build you up in His time. But you always can learn more. You can always read more. You can always learn more breakdowns. You can always go and read the Bible all over again. I guarantee the more you've been in this truth, the more you read through experience, you've noticed that as you continually read the Bible, the same chapter you read last year, you read it this year, you gain something new from it, right? So you have to abound in the work of the Lord. You may hold camp once a week. Try to hold it twice a week. You may go over the scriptures with your family once a day. Try to do it twice a day. You have to sit there and look at your work that you do. You may be charitable, because work is not always on the highways and byways. Work goes into charity. Work goes into exhortation. And sit there and abound and multiply your labors. You know, you have to abound in the work of the Lord. Right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and 15. Right? Revelation chapter 3 and 15. It reads, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. And we all know this precept. You cannot be lukewarm. Lukewarm is the brother who really doesn't know what he wants to do in this thing. Or the sister who's kind of, she says she in the truth, but her actions are of the world. You know, I seen something on Instagram that said Tribe of Judah. Then I seen the picture. You got a woman with her damn ass out, man. You got brothers, Tribe of Judah, Tribe of Levi, Tribe of Ephraim. They got the rhino sign. Then we got the so-called Puerto Rican flag, fire emoji, sword emoji. You go on their damn profile smoking a blunt. That's lukewarm. You either in this thing or you out this thing. And the Lord know your works. That's written. He knows what you're doing. You can't hide. You can't hide. The Lord going to pull your card and the day of judgment and render unto every man according to his works, man. Right? Let's get that in Revelation 22, one of my favorite precepts in the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 22 and 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So whatever work you put in, that's what you're going to get back. If you've been lukewarm, you're going to get a lukewarm reward. You know what a lukewarm reward is? Is you might make it past Jacob's trouble and then the Lord destroy you by the chariots. That's a lukewarm reward. You got brothers that have dreams of this, that brothers get beamed up halfway on the earth and then get let back down. You know, that's a lukewarm reward. The chariot come and beam you up, then slam you back against the ground. Like the sons of the prophets, they believe the chariot did that to Elisha. Right, let me get that real quick in 2 Kings. When they actually thought that the chariot kind of picked up Elisha and let him back to the ground, man. Right, this 2 Kings chapter 2. And I believe that's what I want. Salakia. Might be the 3rd chapter. Bear with me 1 second. Here it is, Salakia. 2 Kings chapter 2 and 15. This after Elijah was taken up in a chariot. And when the sons of the prophets which were to view at Jericho saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah doth rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed himself to the ground before him. And they said unto him, behold, now there be with thy servants 50 strong men. Let them go, we pray thee, and seek thy master. Meaning we want to look for Elijah. Lest peradventure the spirit of the Lord had taken him up, meaning beamed him up, and cast him upon some mountain or into some valley. And he said, ye shall not sin. Now the prophets knew you could do that. They knew the spirit could take you up in a whirlwind and throw you in a damn mountain, man. Or throw you in a valley. The Lord can do what he want to do. Right? So we have to make sure that we maintain our diligence lest we receive a lukewarm reward. Like that. Imagine Elijah get taken up and that spectacular fiery glory just to get cast on the top of a mountain. Meaning thrown down and destroyed, man. Broken into pieces. You know? You want to make sure that you're on fire. Right? Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 16. This is not going to be too long. Right? I just wanted to get this in before the Sabbath service. Before we start everything. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and 15. I beseech you, brethren, ye know the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. So what does it mean they've addicted themselves to the ministry, Salakia, to the ministry of the saints? Right? What does that mean? Addicted. Physically and mentally, Salakia, right? The definition is physically and mentally dependent on a particular substance and unable to stop taking it without occurring adverse effects. You see that? Meaning, look, you should be addicted to the ministry. A minister is a servant, right? A minister is not some guy that sit on the throne. A lot of brothers say come in this thing expecting to sit on the throne. A minister is a slave. But another word for a minister is like a butler, a steward, you understand? A slave, a captive, a prisoner, When you work at your job, you're a minister, So a person who's addicted to the ministry is a person that's addicted to serving the Most High God and serving his people. By praying, by fasting, by teaching, by doing lessons, videos, charity, exhortation, counsel, hitting that brother up at 4 a.m, giving lessons, whatever the case may be. And if they're not doing that, then they have adverse side effects, like a reprobate mind. Sometimes when brothers, not even that far, sometimes when brothers aren't teaching, and I can speak for myself, if it's camp time and we got a camp schedule set up and I'm not at camp, I start getting real irritated. All right, my rib know that, brothers know that. They look, they kind of look and say, well, what the hell's wrong? Because if stuff not on time and I'm not out there doing the work, I get real vexed, man. Like people that my so-called grandfather smoked cigarettes, and when you don't get them cigarettes, it kind of take a toll on you. You start getting real irritable. You might get hostile. You might spaz out on somebody. You damn near might get belligerent because you need that fix. Crackheads, when they want crack, they got the movie Jungle Fever that came out in the 90s. When Halle Berry wanted that dope, man, she was willing to do anything. I'm not going to sit there and tell you, the length of her what she was offering, but there's no limit to a fiend on what they're willing to do to get their substance. They're willing to go above and beyond. That can be weed, that can be alcohol, that can be anything. If you're addicted to something and you don't get it, you're going to go above and beyond and get it done and acquire that to please your flesh. How much more the ministry, right? Salakia. How much more the ministry? You got to go above and beyond and do the work of the Lord, man. Right? So let's go back to that. So you had this church that was addicted to the ministry. Let's go to Sirach chapter 1. Meaning they was always out there. Right? Sirach chapter 1. And Salakia. I want to see what it says. Bear with me. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but if you look down, you'll catch what I'm reading. It reads, it says, when he had much given himself, this Sirach given a prologue or introduction to how all of these accounts of wisdom were accumulated into one book, right? It says, bear with me. Let me find it again. When he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. So Sirach isn't just for niggas on the street. Sirach is for brothers that's addicted to the law and the prophets, addicted to the ministry, addicted to serving the Most High. Are you on fire or are you not, man? Let's go to Luke chapter 12 and 35. You got to ask yourself, man, are you on fire or are you not? All right, Luke chapter 12 and 35. Let your loins be girded about and your lights burning, and ye yourselves like unto men that wait for the Lord, when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open it to him immediately. Blessed are those servants when the Lord, whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. Plain upon tables. The Most High just said, let your loins be girded about, meaning ready to do the work, ready to be on fire, and let your light be burning. Right? Why? Because you got to wait for the Lord. The Lord is on his way, man. But you want to sit around and just have your damn loins ungirded and your flame go out and you in the world and you still reminiscing about things you used to do and you entertaining old friends and you keep hanging around old family members, you might as well go back in the world, man. The Lord not dealing with that spirit. Brothers got to be on fire, man. Ask yourself, are you on fire or you not? Brother Naquam, watching for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Kwam Malak Yahushai, Kwam Yashala, Shalom.